Well, you can't crown a national champion on opening night. Maybe you can't make huge swinging claims about your team, but I think you can definitely raise the floor of your team on an opening night. And I think Texas A&M did just that. A much needed, take care of business kind of a win at home in a almost sold out Kyle Field. Of course it is. The 12th man never lets you down. Just a great atmosphere for college football, a great feel-good kind of a game for the Ags. Lots of positives to take away from this game in the 52-10 win. I predicted 56-13. I was really close, but I'll take the cover. I'll take the 52-10. That's a classic blowout score if I've ever seen one, and it felt oh so good. But of course, there were some negatives to take away, and I think that's the ideal situation for an opening game. You win big, you get a lot of players in, you stayed healthy relatively, hopefully, but you can take a lot into the film room to discuss, to break down, to chew some asses out. As you know, these coaches are always itching to do so. There's a lot of that to do after this game, and I'll talk about that later in this video. But there were a lot of positives to take away, starting with this offense, starting with Connor Wigman, these receivers, O-line giving them protection in the first half. These receivers are superstars. I mean, I'm getting Alabama 2019 or 2015 through 2020 vibes with these receivers. Obviously, an overstatement for a first game, but they have that potential. Every starting receiver made significant impacts on this game, made plays, did a lot. And Ja'Day Walker made some important grabs too, and he's going to be an important player on this team. Connor Wigman looks like an absolute future pro. The way he's able to diagnose pressure, read coverages, throw safe and accurate balls to where only his receiver or nobody can get them. Connor Wigman is wheeling and dealing out there. I could not be more impressed from what I saw from Connor. Just the ability to stay poised in the pocket, something we didn't get from Haynes or really Calzada for the most part the last couple of years. Just a quarterback who you can trust with the ball. A guy that you can trust to run the offense and put the offense in his hands and let him make decisions and make big plays without putting the ball at risk. That's absolutely huge, and then he has the receivers to play ball with. He definitely had great protection in the first half. The O-line looked a little shaky in the second half, in my opinion. And I don't really know if we have a running game, a strong running game. I didn't see a lot of gash run plays that I expected against this subpar rebuilt defense, because this defense lost 7 starters from last year. They had to do a lot from the transfer portal, a lot of inexperienced guys playing, and they weren't able to get a lot of running effectiveness this game. That is a bit concerning. You really want to see some of these holes start to open up. I mean, it's coming hot and fast. Next week you got Miami. You're going to need to establish a running game. But I did like what I saw from the running backs. I think they're very athletic. I think they have good instincts. I just didn't think they had a lot of space to work with. So I'm going to keep an eye on that for sure going forward. But the pass blocking felt sufficient in the first half. In the second half, I felt like it broke down a little bit. I felt like the O-line kind of lost focus in the second half, let a couple plays go, and it wasn't the ideal second half for the O-line or the team as a whole. I really didn't like the way the team started the second half. But before I get into more negatives, let's talk about this defense. Waves on waves of defenders coming at you. I love the way that this D-line rotates bodies every couple of plays. Think about what Georgia does. I mean, that's what A&M's doing on their D-line. And they just have elite athlete after elite athlete coming at you. Fresh, ready to go. The O-line, the offense starts wearing down. Fresh defenders are coming in. The same can be said for the defensive backs. Really secure tacklers in that secondary. Great tackling by the secondary. Now, I think there was some soft coverage, but that may have been by design. But I was really, really happy with the overall physicality and tackling of this defense. And that's the part that's harder to teach. I think there were still some gap assignment issues. It felt like that on my first viewing. I'll have to rewatch it to really hone in on that. But I did feel some gap assignment was lacking. But that stuff you can clean up in film. That stuff you can hone in on throughout a year. Much harder to get the physicality and tackling stuff going throughout the year. And I think that's a theme with some of the deficiencies that I saw this game. They're all things that you can count on to be fixed over the course of the year, gaining experience, playing games together. I know a lot of players come back, but every year is a new team, every year is a new storybook. And I think a lot of the things, which is going to be gap assignment and then blocking assignments on offense, those can get cleaned up. But we saw what this team can look like when it's clicking, because we got that in the first half. 35-7, a great first half. Now, we did give up a few long drives, And that's a little bit concerning. The time of possession was kind of off. This defense, these DBs, I get a little bit worried about that on these long sustained drives because, yes, there was a DB rotation, but it wasn't like there were a ton of bodies they were throwing out there. The rotation is kind of like you have Jared Kerr that you can put in the game. You have Javen Thomas you can put in the game. You can put DeBerry at safety, and you can move players around within that defensive back group. But they didn't go deeper off the bench than Javen Thomas. We didn't see Tony Grimes. We didn't see Sam McCall. We didn't see Deuce Harmon until late. Those first guys that I mentioned, those are your rotation. So you're only having one or two bodies you can throw in and out of there, and even less at the corner position. But you gotta love what DeBerry brings, man. That guy was all over the field tonight. Awesome to see him running around out there, getting the interception, coming up with big hit after big hit, or big tackle after big tackle. And like I said, the tackling was really good. It felt really secure. It didn't feel like there were a lot of situations where players got away from players. And I know there's a big athleticism deficiency or a discrepancy between A&M and New Mexico, but we saw those errors in the subpar opponents within the subpar games last year. I mean, App State, obviously, and then Sam Houston. We didn't feel this way after Sam Houston. We felt kind of sick to our stomachs after Sam Houston. I don't feel that way after this game. It was a fun-ass night. We had a good time. But there's a lot to take away. A couple of notes. Ruben Fothery, I don't know if you noticed, but he got into the game like in the last two drives of the game. I thought that was really bizarre. I thought they were holding him out of this game because he was hurt. But they played him late. So did he get beat out? They're still working him back in? Is he going to go in for Basantis eventually? Is he going to go in for Trey Zune eventually? I mean, I don't know. I thought he looked good out there. I thought his body looked like he was in pretty good shape from afar. It was really strange to see that. Really happy to see Bryce Foster come out and start. It must have been a while since I've seen him because my jaw dropped when I saw him. That dude is an absolute elephant. He's a monster, dude. This guy is just muscle on muscle. I mean, he is a lean 325. I mean, lean, and that's a loose term, lean. I mean, he's a bulky 325, but he looks muscular, dude. It's crazy. But he was out there blowing people away. It was so good to see him out there, man. We needed to see that. We needed that. Another interesting note on that O-line is that Cam Dewberry didn't start. Did that surprise any of y'all? Mark Naboo started over him. I had heard rumblings that Mark Naboo had a great camp, but him starting over what we thought was the best O-lineman on the team last year was really surprising. So that's a testament to Naboo. Hopefully it's not a sign of regression from Dewberry, but Dewberry did get in on like the third drive. Really cool to see that you can plug players into that O-line now. I mean, if Fothery's nursing himself back in, if he becomes a starter again, well, whoever he replaces has starter experience. Or if Fothery's one of the rotation guys off the bench, you're 7 deep at the O-line and players you can play any play and feel good about it. So that is awesome to see. But it did feel like the O-line broke down a little bit in the second half. What do you guys think about that? That's my biggest concern, that the running game. Do we have a running game? You're going to need one versus Miami. It didn't feel like there was any kind of rhythm on the ground. It felt like everything that was positive was through the air with a couple of big runs. Couple of really big runs from Connor Wigman. So I'm a little bit nervous about that. You're working in a new running back after the Spiller A-Chain era. You had Spiller and A-Chain for a couple of years, then just A-Chain, and you felt really good about running back. And this year, I think it's still a question mark. I think we still need answers there. But all three can play. It's obvious all three are worthy of playing. We saw them start with 2 running backs on the field at the same time with Moss and Owens. So they're not afraid to play all these guys. And then 2 plays later, we saw Daniels. So we saw all 3 running backs within the first 3 plays, which I thought was pretty cool. And then we saw 2 tight ends early. Tight ends didn't really get involved in this game. I wasn't really tracking their blocking and their success rate there, but they definitely weren't involved in the passing game. But with the receivers that A&M has and with Green sadly out for the year, it's okay. You have really good receivers. They can make up for that, and I'm pretty sure one of these guys is going to come up to speed eventually. They always do in Jimbo's offense, even though it's not Jimbo's offense anymore. It's a hybrid Jimbo-Bobby offense. Bobby uses them too. Someone's going to come up big. I think it's going to be Jake Johnson, but Theo Orstrom was out there. I don't think he had a reception. Maybe he had one, but they weren't really involved. So look for tight end to maybe get more involved as the season goes along. But like I said, you have some really good receivers. I am a little bit concerned about receiver depth. It looked like Noah Thomas was limping a little bit, and we did see a picture of him in a boot a couple of weeks ago at some NIL photo op or some NIL event. He was wearing a boot, and he looked like he was trying to grit through some pain with his foot or something on his lower extremities. I don't know what it was, but just a quick note on Noah Thomas. As advertised, we've heard about this guy since spring. He was the spring MVP. Apparently, he was the best player on the team in spring to many who were in the know or in the building. And yeah, he showed that he's that dude. Not only is he a huge target, much quicker than you expect, great hands. I think we knew all of that, or we knew the potential there. I was shocked by his ability to scoot with the ball in his hand. He had 2 receptions a few yards short of a first down, and he was able to make guys miss and dive for first downs at his huge frame. I mean, we always knew he was pretty quick for his size, but to see that was pretty damn impressive. I hope we see more of that, and I really hope this receiver core stays healthy, because Ja'Day Walker was good. He had a huge first down conversion on a 3rd down. Great ball by Connor, of course. But after that, I don't think there's anybody else you really trust to go in immediately. Over the course of the year, someone might emerge, but as of right now, you feel kind of bad if someone gets hurt. So, yeah, hopefully they stay healthy there. I'm a little bit nervous there, depth there. Linebackers, like I said, gap fitting was still not perfect, but I think it was better than last year. Definitely potential. Really good to see York out there. I saw him get a couple tackles. I'll need to really hone in on that on my second viewing of the game. But overall, we have a lot to be excited for, guys. We have so much positive coming out of this first game compared to last year. The last 3, even in 2020, the first game didn't show you much. It was that game versus Vandy that was a slog. I think only scored like 20 points or something in that game. This is the best we felt coming out of an opener since Jimbo's first year, and that's what I called for all week. I predicted 56-13. We got 52-10. That feels really freaking good, guys. We have so much positive, but so much to work on, and I'm here for it, man. This is what we needed from this opening game. We got exactly what we needed. We stuck to the script. It could have been a disaster. I mean, we know how these things go. We know how the last few years have went, and it wasn't that, and it was a positive. So, guys, let's take this, let's celebrate, let's be happy. I'm going to go back, rewatch this game, listen to what Jimbo had to say, and I'll report in with you guys on Monday. What a night. Would suck to be Baylor right now. Gig 'em.